Hello, welcome back to the Python course. Keyur Ganatra here, back again with another episode on the series in Python course. So now let's discuss about classes and objects. In the previous video, we started our discussion and our concept of object-oriented programming in Python. And yes, we also discussed about the properties of object-oriented programming, right? So there were four properties of object-oriented programming, namely abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So I hope all that concepts are clear, and if not, then over the period of time in this course they will surely get cleared. Okay, so now let's move ahead towards the object oriented programming in Python, and let's do it practically. So now before we start writing some code, it is necessary to understand two more important concepts, that are classes and objects. So in this video we will start with the discussion or theoretical discussion of what are classes and object, and in the later part we will start writing some code. So now what is a class? So if we go to according to the theoretical definition, then a class is a user defined prototype for an object that define a set of attributes that characterize an object of class. Okay, did you understood anything? No, I know you won't, because the theoretical definitions or the textual definitions are for that only. We don't understand much from it. So this was just a textual definition that I brought in front of you. So now let's discuss what is class. Now just that is a theoretical definition. According to that, it says a class is a prototype. So as in prototype, we understand what is a prototype, right? Prototype is like, or we can see a class is like a blueprint. Okay, blueprint or a prototype. And prototype is something that we create in the initial stages, and according to that prototype we create our actual not actual products, right? So for before that we have a prototype. So similarly a class in programming works as a prototype, or you can call it that it works as a blueprint. So many of times you will see a definition that is a class is a blueprint to create objects, and this is absolutely true. So from a class we will be able to create objects and use them. So before understanding that, first let us discuss more about this class. So now what are classes? Let's understand with a simple example. If let us assume that a class is a blueprint. Okay, so let's say you are a car manufacturer and you want to design some manufacture some new car. So what you will do? You will directly take the spare parts and start joining the car and make a new product? No, this is not how it is done, right? First you will design a blueprint of a car in a computer, right? Using some software you will design a virtual representation of the car, that how the car should look. And you basically, so what you will be doing is, first you will create a blueprint. Okay, similarly in programming, if we want to make some application or if you want to write some code, we will create a blueprint using a class. Okay, now later you will add some functionalities to your car. So that function similarly we will add some functionalities to our program as well. Okay, now what are objects? So let's say your blueprint is ready. Now you want to create some cars. So now you will start manufacturing the cars. So that manufacturing of the cars is called as the creation of the object in programming. Okay, so you will manufacture different cars. So from one blueprint we can create many cars, right, using that same blueprint. Similarly from one class we can create as many as objects we want. Now let's say we have that blueprint. Now that objects that we have created, or the cars that we have created, will differ from user to user, right, or from person to person. Now how they will differ? Will the basic blueprint change or basic structure change? No, that is going to remain the same. What will change is the color of the car, or they will, let's say they will modify the car, and all that things will change. Similarly for an object, the basic structure of the class remains the same. What changes is the values of the variables and a little bit functionalities. Even functionalities remain the same, but according to the different user they work differently. So the class is like a blueprint, and from that blueprint we can create objects. Okay, so from one class we can create n number of objects. Thus an object has two things: attributes and behavior. What is an attribute? Attribute are the variables, and behavior are the functionalities or the methods. Now from where this attribute and behavior came? From the class, because that object is created from a class, and we will use that variables and functionality of methods to provide the functionalities to the user with the help of an object. So now again let's define a textual definition of object. Thus object is something that represents a unique instance of a particular user and can be modified, but the blueprint remains the same. Okay, that is class remains the same and object is something that can be modified. So this is about classes and objects in Python. So now how to define a class in Python programmatically. So now let's start. So for that we have a keyword that is called as class. See here we can see as I wrote class, it got highlighted. So we have the syntax, the keyword class, then the name of the class. So let's say I want to create a banking application in which I will store some user information. I will have that user can deposit, user can withdraw, and all that functionalities. But before adding that functionalities, I will need a class, right? That we have been discussing. Okay. So how to so for that I will need a class called as bank. And again, this is the name that I am giving to my class. You can give any name. It will be my bank or our bank or anything like that. But make sure the names that you give in any programming language to a variable, to a class, to a method, or to anything, that should be meaningful. So here let us assume that I am giving the name as class bank and hit enter. And here we can see it is automatically indented. So this in this particular block of the code, we will write our code that we want in this class. So now we have created our class bank. So now let's add some attributes to it. Let's define some variables that are required in our bank application. So the first thing that we will be needing is, let's say, the user. So here we have the first thing. This is user. This is a variable that I have defined, and since the username will be in string, and I will directly initialize the value here. So let's say the user is John, and for now I want only this much in my class, a class of bank with the functionality or with just one attribute, that is the variable user, and with the value John. So for now, let's say this is my class. So my class is ready, my blueprint is ready. Now from this blueprint I need to create objects. Now how that is done, let's see. So first, again, object, we need to give some name to the object, right? So it will be like a variable. So again, you can give any name, again give some meaningful names. So let's say I want to give the name as obj1 just for the sake of object1. And how to create an object equals to, and here we will write the name of the class and then parenthesis. So in this way object will be created, and in this way the object will be created, right? So obj is the object of class bank. Here we can see obj equals to bank and curly braces. That means it is calling the class that thus obj is initialized as an object of the class bank. Now let us object is ready, right? So now let us use the functionalities of that class using this object. So right now what we have in the class is the user. So let's access the variable user using this object. So what I will do is object, and directly when I put dot, you can see I'm getting a lot of things. There are some other methods as well that we haven't defined yet, right? But that are the methods that are available for us, but given by the Python to use, and we will see few of them later, not in this stage. But the important thing that we have to notice here, as I put it object dot, we got all the things, and in this we have our variable that is user, and at the side we can see that it is of the bank type. So this is the variable that we defined. So let's hit enter and let's run the code. Before running the code, we need to print, right? We need to print the username that we are accessing using the object. So what I will do, that I will write this in the print statement, and then I will directly run my file. So happy run, right click and run object oriented programming, and here we can see John. Ta-da! So we are done with our first program in object oriented programming. So this was the very basic, where we understood that what is a class, what is an object, and how that works, basically how that works. So first we created a class bank, we defined a variable named user, then we created an object, and using that object we access that variable user. So that's it for this one, and see you guys in the next video, where we will discuss more about classes and objects.